Welcome to Post Game Podcast. I'm your host, June, and I want to remind everyone before I get into this featured player of the week, old school style, to subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube and make sure you're following us for your audio fix on all the aggregators. Those are platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music. And if you're listening to this, subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers. You can't see what we're doing as far as the visual, because this man I'm about to talk about, he's an Hall of Famer. And when you think of Pistons Hall of Famers, you might not think of this guy. You might think of the guy who picked Darko Milicic over. Uh, I don't even want to talk about that, man. But yeah, he was a GM at the time, but we're not here to talk about him as a GM. We're going to talk about him as a player. This man is a Hall of Famer. He played side by side with Isaiah Thomas. And when they drafted him and got him, they said, hey, we think this pair at guard will propel us to the next level. They drafted him out of McNeese State. This guy's Mr. Joe Dumars. He had a very stellar career with the Pistons. His career highlights are he's a two-time NBA champion, 1989 and 1990. I remember very vividly in that 1990 series versus the Trailblazers. He played remarkable. They had a three-guard offense where they brought Vinnie Johnson in and played with those three. Vinnie Johnson came off the bench, but with those three in there, Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, and Vinnie, they went to work versus those Portland Trailblazers. He was the NBA Finals MVP in 1989 versus the Lakers. He went to work, and I might have said it backwards, but he was phenomenal versus the Lakers as well. As you can see, being an NBA Finals, six-time All-Star, four-time All-Defensive Player, and in 2006 they inducted him into the Hall of Fame. Uh, he has a career average of 16.1 points a game. He averaged 4.5 assists, 2 rebounds a game, a little less than 1 steal a game. His field goal percentage was 46%. That's very, very good for a shooting guard back in those times. I think it's very, very good now. And he had a three-point percentage of 38.2%, free throw percentage of 84.3%, and he scored in his career 16,401 points. Now, the young folk that might watch this and say, hey, he didn't do that much. But he played 14 years, and he was a very dependable player for the Pistons. He was one of those people that if he was open, he knocked the shot down. And what we didn't talk about, he was known for his defense. He was a defensive gem. Him only averaging less than 1 steal a game didn't speak the volume that it should speak with him, with his defense. It was silly to say, but this guy played very good defense versus Michael Jordan at times, when it was Jordan's time to, go on that run and be as great as he was. I don't think nobody could have stopped him. But there were times that Jordan had to get there. And he had a lot of defensive help. But Joe Dumars would play Jordan just about as close as anybody ever could. Jordan would average 35 points a game versus everyone else. He'd average about 28 a game versus Joe Dumars with him guarding him. So even though it's not saying you still gave up 28 points, it was Jordan. Jordan was going to get his. But this guy played defense pretty well throughout anybody he guarded, they had to work for it that night. And like I said, this guy, when knocked down the shot, he shot 46% from the field, man. And there was a shooting guard. He didn't get a lot of layups. He shot from the outside, 38% career three-point shooter. And I do remember him being a mentor for Grant Hill when Grant Hill was drafted. Isaiah Thomas was gone. Joe was still around. So he mentored a lot of them. And he became the GM for the Pistons. Now, did he draft Milicic over Carmelo? Yes, he did. However, he's responsible for that roster in 2004 that won the championship. I think we could have won more, but it is what it is. It is not the time to dog this man out. We're going to give him his flowers. That is our featured player of the week, and his name is Joe Dumars, shooting guard. And he played from, I think it was 1985 to 89. Let me get that correct. Yes, he played from 85 to 1999. Very dependable guard, Hall of Famer, Joe Dumars. Subscribe to Bleachers Speakers on YouTube.